Ken Mingus. Welcome back to Mingus on Tech, where we talk about what's hot and what's not in technology. I've snagged Lucas today to talk about autonomous cars and driving and what's going on. It's been sort of a busy news summer for autonomous driving. If you saw the stories about the Tesla accident and the man that was killed while his car was automatically driving down the highway, which caused a lot of concern about autonomous drivers and autonomous driving. And Lucas recently spoke with Ford Motor Company about their plans to come up with an autonomous fleet for services like Uber. But what's interesting is that Ford isn't so sure about this whole idea of allowing people like us to have autonomous cars. So what'd you find out from Ford? What's the deal?
Well, and I think they're going down the correct path, to be honest with you. And the reason for that is they've decided that they're going to offer fully autonomous vehicles, but without steering wheels and without pedals. And they're going to be for ride-sharing and ride-hailing services like Uber. Okay. And the reason that they're not going to offer autonomous vehicles to consumers yet, those will probably come a few years down the road, is there's a quandary there. How do you hand control back over to the driver once the car is taken over? There's a safety risk there because drivers oftentimes their attention will wander from the road. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of videos, especially with Tesla Model 3 owners.
You've got people that are like, reading the paper, drinking their coffee, sleeping. Wasn't there one of like somebody snoozing while the car was driving?
He actually climbed into the back seat of the car, and I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Okay, so this is the problem. Humans are the problem. The technology's fine. It's the people
in the car. It really is that it's not the technology. And in fact, Tesla is not a fully autonomous vehicle. It has what's called ADAS, or Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, semi-autonomous. So it can do things like lane keeping and even turning, actually, for that matter. It can, once you print the turn signal on.
Does it signal? Do you know if it signals?
Well, it doesn't, but once you do, I believe, the car can then change lanes when it's safe to.
Okay.
And it can keep distance, so it has active cruise control, which keeps a regulated distance between you and the car in front of you.
Which a lot of cars have now. The radar cruise control, you see that a lot with modern cars. A lot of these assistants, in fact, my Honda has the lane keeping thing, and will hit the brakes. It won't stop you completely if you're about to plow into somebody, but it hits the brakes hard and will ideally, keep you from having a bad accident. But the problem with these cars that are completely autonomous, even though the technology seems to be there, we've got the sensors now, we've got the computing power in the car that will allow it to do these kinds of things.
Right.
But it's the mix of computing and autonomy and people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so, all right, so Ford, I know, said that they were working on this fleet for Uber by, I think, 2021.
2021, yep.
But when it came to the whole idea of when are we going to roll this out for people, they said something vague like, well, several years after that, maybe, kind of.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Well, in the meantime, they'll continue to roll out ADAS.
So cars are going to continue to get smarter.
Yes, they will. They'll continue to get the systems that your car currently has and more. Yeah. But they're probably not going to go all the way. Tesla has what's called level 3 autonomy.
Explain that, because I'm in the story you wrote. There's it goes from level 0 to level 5.
Right.
So what are those steps? If roughly, what does that mean?
Yeah. So this international organization SAE has come up with 6 different levels, including 0, which is none, of autonomy in a car. And basically 4 and 5 are fully autonomous, with 4, I believe, being able to hand control back over to the driver. 3 is fairly advanced,
sort of in the gray area
systems.
Between.
It is. It's more of a gray area. It has like your car has. It has lane keeping ability.
Yep.
It has the cruise control, the automated cruise control. It has, in Tesla's case, lane changing capability. So it has some advanced features, but you must remain in control. That's the key to level 3. Is the driver has to keep his attention on the road, he or she, and their physical control over the steering wheel. They're not supposed to let go of the steering wheel, and Tesla has been crystal clear about that.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
once again,
humans will be humans.
People will not do as they're told.
Yeah, well, they see the
Even
technology
if their
and
lives
they're like, hey, this is working.
Everybody on the highway around them, it's like, I can't imagine climbing in the back. I would never climb in the back seat of my car. I don't care how autonomous it is.
But that's people will do those things. People are crazy. People test the limits of technology.
Do not do this at home. And if you're a Tesla owner, please don't climb in the back seat of your car while it's on the highway. If I'm anywhere
near you,
or read the newspaper. Okay, or read the newspaper. newspaper or do whatever else is going on in the
Right.
cars. It is interesting because the car that I have, when you put on the cruise control, it will keep you in the lane. It'll keep you, at a certain distance from the car in front of you.
Yeah.
But if you take your hands off the wheel, you've got 15 seconds, and it shakes the wheel and says steering required, and
Right.
it will like shut off the system if you don't grab the wheel. It needs to feel some kind of motion there that you're in control of the car.
And I think that's where we're going. Is if a person does not continue to maintain control over the vehicle, or if there's some sort of catastrophic event in the vehicle's technology for it fails, the system will then look for a place to pull the car over safely on the side of the road. So there's kind of a fail-safe
Right.
that these autonomous vehicles have, that, something has just failed. We're going to pull off the road, get you out of the traffic when it's safe to do so.
Right.
And I think most of these vehicles that will eventually allow the control to be handed back over to the vehicle, so we're talking level 4 probably autonomy, will have a fail-safe system. And that's important because what do you do if a system fails? Ultimately, technology...
Computers do crash on occasion.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It is largely a computer on wheels.
Right. But we're looking forward to this. I mean, I think you probably saw the news that Delphi and Mobileye are coming out.
So they're combining. It was interesting. Yeah, that's we actually have a tidbit of news here that Delphi and Mobileye are going to join forces, and they're basically building the autonomous platform that automakers can use.
Yeah.
And I think their plans are to have something out. They're going to show something at CES in 2017, and then have this out
2019.
So a couple of years later.
Yeah.
So this would be the sort of technology that manufacturers like Ford or any other car maker could use to sort of approach the kinds of things that Tesla's doing already.
Absolutely. And Tesla, in fact, was a partner of Mobileye until the fatal crash. Mobileye said, we're going to pull back from that. I don't know if that was wise of them or not because mistakes happen. But yeah, they pulled away from their partnership with Tesla. So now they are major parts suppliers, technology suppliers to the automotive industry. And they partnered to create basically a modular system. So it'll include the wheel and the pedals, and it will take control. So it will allow the control to be handed back to the driver at some point.
So this is still that level 3 or level 4 type driving where the
Exactly.
driver will have to be engaged in some way.
Right.
Can't climb in the back seat of the car.
Right.
And that's the platform that a lot of mainstream manufacturers are likely to be using in
Exactly.
3, 4, 5 years, I guess.
Right.
Okay. So basically the upshot is that autonomous driving is coming.
Yep.
It will probably not be the sort of thing out of Minority Report or iRobot where all the cars on the highway are driving themselves and you just kind of sit back and relax, at least not till 2040, 2050 or whenever.
That's coming. I mean, imagine driving at 200 miles an hour. That's a possibility.
If I'm driving, I don't mind that. If it's the computer or someone near me
the passenger was not happy with Will Smith taking over control of that car at that speed. But
that's true. You're right. Exactly. So it's obvious that more autonomous driving is coming.
Right.
But anybody who is expecting to, in 5 years, go down to your Ford dealership or your Chevy or wherever and pick up an autonomous car that's going to drive you back and forth wherever you want to go,
Right.
probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Not yet, no, because they're just, and like I said, I think correctly being cautious, not because the technology's not ready. The technology's fairly proven. I mean, they've driven millions of miles with this technology.
And true, we shouldn't slam Tesla for just that. I mean, of all the miles that Tesla cars have been driven, many of them in autonomous mode, there was one accident, I think, really, and that was because of some issues with the truck that the car hit. Couldn't be seen by the cameras against the blue sky. And I mean, there were a lot of things that would only happen once.
Right.
There
have been other accidents. I don't know if they've been proven to be the fault of the autopilot, which is an unfortunate name that Tesla used for it. It's semi-autonomous technology. But, I mean, you're going to have situations that you can't always predict. And in this case, it was a white truck turning left across the driving lane of the car, the Tesla, and against a bright sky. And the vehicle's cameras could not pick it up.
Just didn't see it. Now, of course, if the driver had been paying attention and had,
Exactly. That's the point.
Would have seen the truck hit the brakes.
And this guy was not a dope. I mean, for everything I've read about him, he was technology savvy. He wasn't somebody who was reckless.
Right.
He was a veteran. He loved technology. He loved his Model S. He was not a wealthy person. And generally speaking, you got to be fairly wealthy to own a Model S. These are expensive. But that's how much he loved it. He went ahead and I guess saved his pennies to buy this Model S and loved it. And I just trusted it a bit too much for a very short period of time that I understand. And and it cost him, unfortunately, his life.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about technology. It can be a real help in a lot of situations, but you can't trust it blindly. In this case, it was problematic, or it was tragic for him.
And yet, and I'm just going to point out this one piece, because this has been written about several times already, and it's so true. You look at commercial airlines, and they use autopilot all the time.
Planes are flying all over the place.
They are.
They're
flying themselves. They're landing themselves. They can. Most of the takeoff can be done by planes now. So there's a lot of autonomy and the auto industry can actually learn quite a bit from the airline industry for that reason. How to hand controls back to the pilots when it's needed.
Well, what's interesting too is, in terms of air travel, you've got so much space around you, above you, and around you, whereas on the highway, you were right side by side with, humans doing crazy human things, computers doing technically proper but still different things than the humans are doing. And when you put those two together, you can have problems.
We can get into a whole nother area talking about vehicle infrastructure connectivity.
Well, I do want to mention that real quickly, because you had written about this last week, that Audi has announced that some of their 2017 models will be equipped to read smart traffic lights in cities and places where the traffic lights are installed, and will be able to tell you, the driver, how long you're going to have to sit in front of the light waiting for it to change.
Yeah.
And that's 2017. That's not really a driving feature. It's more of a convenience thing. But it just shows you how quickly our highways and cars are becoming interconnected.
Exactly. The problem with this is, and this is great. I mean, it's wonderful that our cars are going to start talking.
It really does.
Right? Yeah.
I want an Audi. I wanted one beforehand, but now I really want one.
They're beautiful cars, indeed. But it's not all municipalities, not all regions have deployed this technology, so it's catch, can right now. So if you happen to pull up to a light and it can talk to that light, it'll tell you when it changes. And it kind of takes my wife's job away, because she loves to snap her fingers when the light's going to change. She thinks she has this ESP.
Okay.
So anyways, to move on.
I'll have to bring her on my next road trip.
Everybody does that, right?
That could be handy. Okay, good.
But the car will actually give you a countdown to when the light is going to change. And it will pause before, so that you're not like sitting there with your foot off the brake. I was going to
say, if you're ready to go up against somebody at the stoplight and drag race, you've got a built-in advantage there.
Right.
Okay.
So where the technology is available, and again, it's dependent on whether the technology is operating at the time, because technology can fail. We also have vehicle-to-vehicle communications, which is going to be so sophisticated. Imagine if your car knows the route the car ahead of you is driving ahead of time. It knows you're going to take an exit in a certain number of miles, so it can predict that. It knows you're going to change lanes. So that's going to be important technology as well. It knows you're going to slow down, whatever.
I'm ready for that. I mean, and that's the sort of thing where you'll be driving, but the car will know. It'll be like a smart car.
Exactly.
Basically, it'll know what's going on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great, Lucas. Thanks a lot. That was a really important update. I thought people should know what's going on with autonomous driving, since it's been in the news this summer. I think for now we'll leave it there. That's a wrap.